Ever feel like your AI assistant just isn't quite getting it? You type a prompt and the answer feels, well, generic, maybe even a little flat.
Hmm.
What if I told you you're probably missing out on, like, 90% of its true power? Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into a fascinating look at mastering AI, prompting techniques for powerful responses. Our mission to really transform how you interact with large language models, LLMs. We want to help you turn them from, simple search tools into truly powerful, insightful assistants. We'll explore key mindset shifts, some really practical techniques, moving from basic prompts all the way to advanced creative applications. It's a deep dive into communication, really.
Right, and we're going to try and demystify what these AIs really are, because understanding that is absolutely key to unlocking their capabilities. It's less about knowing facts, funnily enough, and much more about recognizing patterns. That's a surprisingly profound distinction, I think.
Okay, let's unpack this then. I think the biggest mistake, maybe, that many of us make when we first encounter an LLM is treating it like some kind of all-knowing super Google. We type in a query, expect a factual answer, just like a quick search. But if you stop there, you're genuinely missing the forest for the trees.
Absolutely, yeah. Because in reality, these models don't know anything, not in the human sense of comprehension anyway. An LLM is, at its core, a pattern matching and language prediction machine. Think of it like this. It's read just a truly vast amount of human-written text, billions and billions of words. So when you ask about, say, the Great Fire of London, it doesn't understand it as a historical event. Instead, it recognizes that in its training data, the phrase the Great Fire of London is overwhelmingly followed by the number 1666. It's all about statistical relationships between words and phrases, not genuine understanding or belief. It just predicts the next most probable word.
That's a crucial distinction. Wow, and it changes everything, doesn't it? Their true power, then, lies in their ability to recognize incredibly complex patterns within that huge sea of text. We're talking about patterns in style, tone, understanding sentiment, grasping themes, connecting thematically similar ideas, and maybe most powerfully, cross-domain mapping, explaining a concept from one field using terms from another. This understanding is the fundamental shift, moving from simply asking the AI to truly instructing it. So if they're predicting patterns, not understanding facts, how does that fundamentally change our entire approach to using them?
It means we're not just pulling information out, we're guiding their output. We're
Yeah.
shaping the statistical probability of their next words to fit our desired pattern.
Guide the AI's output, don't just query facts. Got it. All right, this is where it really gets interesting for practical application. Let's get into some foundational techniques. Stuff everyone interacting with AI should probably know. These are your building blocks.
Absolutely. Okay, the first one is role play, because context truly is king here. LLMs are designed as general-purpose tools, right? By assigning a specific role, you immediately narrow the scope of the response, and this leads to far more focused, relevant results. Think about how often you ask an AI for, like, marketing ideas, and you just get generic fluff back. But if you say, you are a seasoned content marketer for a sauce startup, draft 5 viral social media post ideas for a new onboarding tool, suddenly you get something genuinely actionable. That's the difference. It shapes not just the content, but the tone, vocabulary, even the level of detail.
That's so simple, yet it sounds like it could transform a bland answer into something really usable.
Then there's decomposition. I kind of like to call this the don't get greedy rule. See, LLMs tend to generate responses of a certain length, and if you ask for a task that's too complex or too long, they often give you a shallow summary for each part. They just can't handle it all deeply at once. So the rule is simple. Break a large task into multiple smaller prompts. This lets the AI dedicate its full energy, so to speak, to each part, giving you more detail and depth. And you can even combine this with role-playing. For instance, if you wanted to create a personal finance course, you might start with a first prompt where it acts as a researcher to list the main topics, then a second prompt as a teacher to create a detailed 4-week syllabus from those topics, and finally, maybe a third prompt as a creative content writer to draft the actual lesson content for week 1 using engaging language. It's like building with Lego blocks, One piece at a time makes a much sturdier structure.
So these foundational techniques are about getting more precision, more depth in the responses, right? Does being too specific ever limit the AI's creativity, or is precision always the goal here?
That's a great question. While precision is usually key for getting what you think you want, sometimes, especially in early brainstorming, well, you might want the AI to explore a wider space before you start narrowing it down. It's about knowing when to open the funnel wide and when to start closing it.
Sculpt AI's knowledge more effectively. Okay. Building on that idea of guiding the AI, let's explore how we can get it to actually reason for us. This is where things get really powerful, I think, moving beyond just information recall.
Indeed. Yeah, this is cool stuff. The first technique here is chain of thought, or COSI. Simply put, think step by step.
Uh,
This means you instruct the LLM to explain its reasoning process before it gives you the final answer. This forces it to follow a logical chain, which significantly reduces the chance of hallucinations. That's the AI jargon for generating incorrect but plausible-sounding information. So instead of just saying, calculate X, you'd prompt something like, explain step by step how you would calculate X. State the formulas and assumptions you use.
yeah.
Even if the final answer turns out wrong, seeing the reasoning makes it far easier for you to spot the error and maybe correct it yourself. It gives you a transparent audit trail.
That really adds a layer of transparency. It's almost like debugging its thought process in real time.
Exactly. Then we have tree of thoughts, or TOT. Look at an advanced version of chain of thought. Here, you ask the AI to consider multiple paths. So instead of just one logical flow, you ask the AI to consider several different options, evaluate the pros and cons of each, and then select the best one. For example, I'm facing problem X. Propose 3 different solutions. For each solution, analyze its strengths, weaknesses, and probability of success. Finally, tell me which solution you recommend and why. Whoa. I mean, imagine the depth of insight an AI can generate when it truly thinks through multiple paths like this. It's like having an entire team brainstorming for you, but they're all hyper-focused on your specific problem. This technique simulates the ability to look ahead and make complex decisions. Really useful for problems without a clear-cut answer.
That's a bit of a mind bender, actually. It feels like you're tapping into something more profound than just a language model there.
And finally, there's REACT. That stands for reason and act. This technique prompts the model to describe its plan of action before executing it. This helps it to self-correct and properly scope the task. It increases accuracy, especially for requests involving analysis or, say, information retrieval. A great example is, here is a paragraph I wrote. First, tell me 3 things you think could be improved to make it more persuasive. Then, rewrite the paragraph based on your own suggestions. So it plans, then it acts on that plan. This is a total game changer for iterative work like writing or coding.
Okay, so these methods, they essentially make the AI show its work almost like an open book, which makes it significantly more reliable. Is that the core idea?
You've hit on the crucial point there, yeah. By forcing it to reveal its steps, we're not just getting an answer, we're getting an auditable process. And that dramatically boosts reliability and helps us understand why it arrived at that conclusion.
Transparency in AI's thinking reduces errors. Makes total sense. Mid-roll sponsor read content, inserted here in production. A conversation with an AI. It really is like any other dialogue, isn't it? How you lead it determines the destination. It's not just about what you ask, but how you ask and how you manage that ongoing flow within the digital space.
Absolutely. First, you really want to build a shared understanding.
Yeah.
Before you assign an important task, it's incredibly helpful to check if the AI has truly grasped your concept. For instance, say you want a logo for a coffee shop called The Reading Nook with a vintage, cozy style. You might ask first, do you have any ideas to improve this concept? What elements do you think are most important to convey? Its response will tell you if it's, caught the vibe and if you're both on the same wavelength. If not, you refine. You iterate until you feel like you share the same vision.
That's smart. Yeah, prevent problems before they even start. It must save so much backtracking later on.
Definitely. Then you need to be aware of consensus bias. This is a subtle one. LLMs are designed to be helpful and agreeable. That's part of their programming. The downside is they can easily agree with incorrect information you provide. They're built to be polite, essentially. To counter this, try offering an alternative. Instead of just asking, I think the cause of this bug is X, is that correct? Just try phrasing it like, I think the cause of this bug is X, is that correct? Or could it actually be because of Y? Explain why. This forces it to compare and contrast, rather than just blindly agreeing with your potentially flawed premise.
That's a subtle but really powerful shift in how you phrase things. It forces a deeper analysis rather than just confirmation bias.
It really does. And finally, you absolutely must try to master the context window. This is basically the AI's short-term memory for the current conversation. Everything you write influences subsequent responses, so it's like a living document you're co-creating. So be specific. The more detailed your prompt, generally the more specific the answer. But also be careful with examples you give. Sometimes the examples you provide can inadvertently limit the AI's creative possibilities, especially if you give them too early. Sometimes it's better not to give an example right away, let it think more broadly first. And here's a surprising one. Sometimes it pays to be a bit lazy. The lazy prompting technique can be surprisingly effective. Just paste an error message, for example, and let the AI infer what you want. It's often quite good at filling in the blanks. Honestly, I still wrestle with managing the context window myself, especially on longer projects or complex conversations. It's a real art, knowing what to include, what to leave out, and crucially, when.
Okay, so this whole section really boils down to making sure the AI is truly on the same page as you, understanding your intent, and I guess guiding its internal compass.
Precisely. It's all about establishing alignment and maintaining that through continuous feedback. That leads to better, more accurate, and ultimately much more useful results.
Aligning AI with your vision for better results. I like that. Now, let's explore how to truly turn AI into more of a creative partner. This is where the magic really begins, I feel, moving beyond just information retrieval and into true ideation and co-creation.
Yeah, this is where things get really exciting, where you feel like you're genuinely co-creating something new. First up, translate between domains, sometimes called domain translation. This is one of the most powerful, yet I think often underutilized capabilities of these models. LLMs are excellent at mapping complex concepts into more understandable domains or analogies. For example, you could ask, explain the concept of inflation using 10 completely different analogies. Or maybe explain how machine learning works to a 10-year-old using the example of teaching a dog a new trick. This really leverages their ability to recognize patterns across vast, disparate knowledge bases. It makes complex ideas instantly accessible.
That's a fantastic way to simplify dense information and probably make it stick better, too.
Next, there's the Socratic Method. This is fascinating. Instead of asking the AI for answers, you ask it to pose questions that guide you to find the answer yourself. This is an excellent method for deep learning and for exploring what we might call unknown unknowns, things you didn't even know you didn't know. A prompt might look like, I want to better understand Stoic philosophy. Instead of explaining it directly, ask me questions to help me reflect and discover its core principles on my own, one by one. It completely flips the learning dynamic, doesn't it? It turns the AI into a kind of wise tutor rather than just an answer bot.
Wow, that's a true learning partner. It feels less like using a tool and more like collaborating with a mentor.
And critically, remember to refine responses with a feedback loop. This is so important. Don't treat a prompt as a one-and-done command. Think of it as the start of a conversation, a loop you prompt. Write a marketing email to introduce product X. Okay, that's the start. Then you provide feedback. That's good, but make it 30% shorter, add a stronger call to action, and maybe use a more humorous tone. This continuous refinement process, this back-and-forth iteration, will help you go from a good draft to a really great result collaboratively, just like you would with a human editor or collaborator.
Iteration is key.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like working with human collaborators takes the pressure off getting it perfect the very first time.
Precisely. And finally, leverage custom instructions and long-term memory. Most modern LLMs now have a custom instructions or some kind of long-term memory feature.
Yeah.
This is a massive time saver once you actually take the time to set it up. You basically teach the AI about you, your job, your preferred writing style, common requirements you have. For instance, you could set up custom instructions like, I am a marketing manager. When I ask for copy, always use a professional yet approachable tone. Always end with an open-ended question to encourage engagement. Avoid overly technical jargon. Once that's set up, you often only need to provide brief requests, and the AI will automatically apply these rules. It saves countless hours of repeating the same instructions. It really personalizes your AI interaction.
This really does push the boundaries of what AI can do, turning it into less of a simple tool and more of a thinking, evolving partner, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It moves beyond mere utility into true collaboration, almost like having a dedicated, tireless assistant that genuinely learns your preferences over time.
Moves beyond utility into true AI collaboration. Love it. So, what does this all mean for us? Wrapping things up. Ultimately, using AI effectively isn't about finding some secret trick or hack. It's a skill. It demands a mindset shift, as we discussed, and definitely a willingness to experiment. The quality of your AI's responses, as we've seen today, directly reflects the thoughtfulness and the clarity of your prompts.
Yeah, and this isn't just about getting better answers, is it? It's really about transforming AI into a genuine partner. A partner in your work, in your learning, maybe even in your creativity. Try just one of these techniques next time you talk to an AI, assign it a role, ask it to think step by step, or just try breaking a bigger task into smaller pieces. You might be genuinely surprised at the difference it makes. Beat.
So here's a final thought. What unexpected problem could you solve, or what creative project could you unlock by simply changing how you ask the AI for help? How much more of your own potential could you unlock by truly mastering this new form of communication? Something to mull over. Out to row music.